Hey, we're going. Hey, this is the inaugural podcast for Tucson Dropship, I guess we're calling it. We got the 7th Ed rulebook and shenanigans in today, and we're doing this out of Hats Games in Tucson. That's Dave Hatt.
Yep.
I'm Ed Osling. This is my friend Josh.
Yep.
And the disembodied squeaky voice over there is Woody. So we're just going to give you 15 minutes of shenanigans here and see what we got. You want to start, Dave?
All right, well, first of all, let's go through the book real quick. Went over the basic rules section, the shit that tells you all about what your stats do, what the basic concepts of games are. Good news, not a lot of changes. The only major changes that I like to note are that 3 stats at 0 now kill you instead of just 1.
Yep.
So if your wounds are at 0, congratulations, you're dead. If your strength is at 0, you're dead. If your toughness is at 0, you're dead. That's about the end of that one. There's a couple other minor things. Most of the things in the book so far are clarifications. There is a section that we're going to talk about a little bit later that is majorly changed. But basic rules for the game mechanics and how it works, pretty much the same. You could almost pick up your old book and just be done with it. These two, very similar.
Very.
With the major exception being that there's the psychic phase, which is
We'll
actually
get to that.
really
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. That's messy.
Let me have my time.
Okay, fine.
I'm on the internet now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Science.
All right, so beyond the basics, I'm going to go ahead and cover movement real quick. A lot of the rumors online that we've been hearing for the last couple months, way off. Almost all the movement phase is completely identical. There are a few clarifications and exceptions that are not really drastically game-changing in any major way. A lot of them have to do with how you interact with terrain and some vehicles.
For sure.
And those are specific to entries and specific armies. So definitely everybody's going to need to read through the book to see what applies to them. But in general, you still move the same, you still run, you still can go to ground. Those rules are pretty much identical from the last edition of this one. And when you're talking about shooting, when you're talking about shooting, what's going to be Ed's thing, that's where some of the major changes are going to be happening before we talk about this guy. But I got nothing much to say about movement. It's pretty much done and done.
It's solidified, or it's essentially the same thing. The main change in movement is vertical cohesion. That rumor was true. Vertical cohesion matters in not only movement, but assault,
yes,
if you're still in close combat, if you're considered an engaged model. So you can drop that brick from up above, I guess, and can be considered contributing to a fight.
Some things about movement that are important, though. There are no longer 3-inch tall stories on buildings, none of that crap. You just kind of go through, you measure from the point where your model is to where he can go. First you measure laterally and then vertically. You can't diagonal any fucking thing. It's not how the game works.
You have to be underneath the edge, the overhang, so you can go 3 inches up.
So none of this fucking teleporting an extra inch of a building anymore. Number 2, that's just finicky tidbits. You cannot move through friendly models. Super clarified, clear in the rules.
Oh.
You cannot ever, under any circumstances, unless you get to a different phase, or the movement phase specifically, get within an inch of any model. We know this rule. But the trick is, it applies at all times, including rotating on position, so no sticking your tank between the wall and having to flip over anymore.
Yeah, if you got walls on both sides, you ain't picking it up, doing 180 and dropping it back down. You're bonking in the walls and taking your dangerous terrain test.
So watch out for your impassable terrain. And the other one is, because you cannot move through friendly models, you can't really move units sloppy. Open ground, probably no big deal. But if you got models of different size bases in the same unit, watch your ass on choke points.
You can move in between 2 models.
As long as there's enough physical
space.
space. One last thing from the generic rules, now that I'm recalling, very minor details. You have to be within range. It clarifies in one sentence at the bottom of the paragraph, middle of the page. Do read. However,
Let's get this out of here.
I'll put it.
Nope, it's the same thing.
I have my new baby. Okay.
Yep.
So, it does clarify you have to be within range for
sure.
line of sight, for movement, for things like that, for coherency, which means that being exactly 6 inches away with a 6-inch range gun, not going to cut it. You got to be at least a fingernail or something else inside that in order to get it.
Right. In addition, line of sight, it is a little bit more wonky, or not wonky, a little bit more determined. You draw a line of sight from any part of your model's
Head,
normal...
arms, legs, course so.
Right. It specifically says those things, and then you could draw a line of sight from that, and you draw a line of sight to their full body. And if more than 25% of that is obscured, then they get a cover save.
You can draw a line of sight from any point, though, so watch your ass when you're talking about models. Things like Shova's Altar Boy here will draw a line of sight from a model that's 6 inches tall. If you can see from the top of his head down at you to negate your cover, it's good. If he, however, has slow-in models like the Fire Warriors or Kroot, things like that, the squeebs are like a millimeter shorter than most people.
Oh, yeah.
So they're pretty much turbo screwed when it comes to line of sight
Doing their
for
little duck
cover and obscurement, things like that. Because any part of you, 25%, you've got some sort of obscurement cover, whatever you got coming.
Absolutely. On top of that, what was the other point I was going to make? 25% is the cover quality that they're looking for to gain cover. There are certain terrain things that were added in the back of the book that say even if you're in like rubble, if you're just standing in freaking rubble, you're a 4 up. I believe 4 or 5 up.
In other words, read it for your fucking self.
Yeah.
However, quote, terrain is in 2 sections of the book. As usual, it is Games Workshop's editing core. The book is clean. It doesn't have a central fluff section. They leave that to
The other 2 books.
the other 2 Forge World-sized book things that you get in your sleeve. So the rules are just the rules, but the terrain section has the basic rules of terrain where they're supposed to be, and then it has a section in the back of the book with your alternative terrain near the appendix. It's like
just behind it, actually. The other thing is, this thing's kind of cool. It's on your wall. I see people throwing their rule book in there, their codex they're playing with, and their demon codex.
Yeah, because demons are a thing now.
Yeah.
Screw your demons.
Yeah, about that. Shoot. Moving on. Let's go. Let's see. We did movement.
Vector strike counts as movement.
Vector strike counts as movement. You can vector strike at D3 versus other flyers, but against ground troops, it's one hit only.
Yes. Oh, that reminds me. I did say there weren't very many changes. May I clarify a bit more? Because we've been a little detailing about this. Yeah. It's equivalent details for specific units, specific armies. What I meant to say was, this isn't just the 40k rule book. It is the 40k rule book. It is also pretty much every single rule you ever needed from Escalation, and pretty much the rules you need to know from the Bunker Assault. However, the information out of Bunker Assault and the information out of Escalation as far as the units and data site rules still apply. They're not in the main rulebook in their entirety. You will still be able to use your old books, just the rules have been updated in here to clarify the core elements of how you use them. So, yes, the rules didn't change. They just took all the other shit, added it to the book, and gave you more rules in one thing.
The APOC book is still useless, not useless, is still good because it has all the data slates in there that you need. So,
and formations.
And formations.
We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Absolutely.
But since we've pretty much gone over movement and terrain right now, by the way, terrain section, shorter, cleaner, and the deployment for terrain we'll go over in a little bit. It's a little weirder. It's not as good as it used to be, but I'll explain.
It's a little loosey-goosey. We want to move on.
Let's throw you to Psychic Phase.
Psychic Phase.
All right, tell them what it is, you stupid, big fucking brained asshole. You don't even play an army that has psychers in it.
I know.
I play armies that don't like psychers.
Well, he's got, the gays.
Oh, yes, the Tau.
The gays.
You're a
and the
communist.
Tau.
All right, so now that we talked about the Psyker phase,
Okay, the way you generate your psychers is as mostly as rumored. You get D6 plus number of mastery levels,
Yes.
and you add all those up.
But the way it works is whoever's turn it is, they roll the d6, and the opponent gets identical to that, and then the original person gets bonuses based on their mastery levels of each of their psychers. So potentially you can get 6 if you're the opponent to dispel, but it's not the end of the world. It can be nice, it can be bad. Other than that, as far as Deny the Witch goes, it actually got a lot better in some ways, but
let's go through how
check
to
the math on that one.
We'll go through how to generate a psychic power. Let's say you're gonna,
fancy
psychic
cards.
things.
Product placement.
Yep, product placement. We'll not use that one. We'll use this one. Telepathy.
Yeah.
Dominate. Warp charge 1. So you have to generate 1 success out of the pool of dice that you choose to roll. You could choose to roll 1 die. Guess what? You're not going to have perils on it. You're not going to perils on 1 dice.
Which perils is?
any double of a 6. Unless you're doing Santic as not Grey Knights, so any double at all on Santic for anybody but Grey Knights. And if you're doing the other one, which is Malefic,
Yeah.
if you're anything but someone with the Demon special rule, any double is Perils of the Warp now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Perils of the Warp table actually got a lot simpler. It's only a D6, and it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, you could do some terrible things to yourself.
Yeah.
But
some
anywho,
really, really good things.
if you want to get this Dominate off, you choose a number of dice out of your pool. If you're the active player, you throw them. You look for 4-ups. Those 4-ups count as
They're harnessed.
They're scored or they're
They're
scored dice. Whatever.
Harness dice. Get over it.
Harness.
Terminology.
Whatever. You put those dice aside, and then you give the other person the opportunity to spell.
Mm.
And what they do is they pick up their amount of dice that they choose. They throw those, and normal, unless you have special rules to augment that, they're looking for 6s, and those 6s negate the successes that are there.
The example of this, to make it more clear, because this is kind of like it would be. So let's say you got a psychic power that has warp charge 2 as its cost. So, all right, I want to make sure I get 4 pluses to get warp charges. So I grab 4 dice out of the pool I generate at the beginning of the phase. I roll them because odds are I'm going to roll at least 4 pluses. If I roll a pair of 6s, I can't not choose the harnessed warp charges. I have to, so I'm fucked. But if I actually go through and I get 2 or more, the psychic power goes off. And generally, unless you have a special rule, which we found even in the old codexes, or unless there is some additional benefit for the warp charge, it just kind of bleeds out. You got lucky, good job. However, the one minor benefit is that when people are attempting to deny the witch against you, which is terminology for dispel, you old crotchety fart, every 6 they roll negates one of your harnessed warp charges.
Yep.
So essentially, they have 2 ways to out you. One, they roll more 6s than what you had in warp charges, which obviously gets rid of the whole pool. And they have a separate part of that paragraph which describes how awesome that is and how many things it doesn't affect. But the primary thing is that they simply get the amount of denials to reduce your harness charges below the warp charge needed to cast the spell, so for chaos, or for psychic powers for people who actually know what the hell they're doing. You don't cast it; it fails.
Yep. And then on top of that, one thing I'd like to point out: to use a force weapon, you have to do it in the psychic phase, or you have to turn it on there. It costs a warp charge, and
can be dispelled like all other blessings.
Your chainsaw, you have to turn your chainsaw on and use it, basically.
Yeah, you got to plug in the D cells from the warp charge.
Exactly.
Well, sometimes you drop your lightsaber in the water and it doesn't turn on anymore.
Gotta make sure fresh batteries in there.
Some other points about this: generation of warp power or psychic powers. If you generate all your psychic powers from the same psychic discipline, the psyker automatically knows that Primaris power.
Just straight gives it to you, so you don't have to worry about trading out any psychic powers if you took all of the same psychics.
Exactly.
You just get it.
Other caveat: if you're psychic or if you're chaos and doing that kind of thing, psyker has a mark of chaos, or is a demon of a particular chaos god. That model automatically knows the Primaris power of the discipline that corresponds with their patron deity. In addition to other powers, they don't have to take a power from their patron deity.
Now,
but they automatically get the Primaris.
Mind you, this does mean that if they take their patron Primaris and they decide to take something from the main rulebook, they do not also gain the Primaris of the secondary, even though they selected all their psychic powers from it. Because that's just the clause for the chaos. You get one or the other.
Right. That's as we understand it currently. Let's see here. That's turn on force weapons. Where's my next little thingy? If you're inside a transport, the only psychic powers that you can generate.
Notes.
I'm sorry, I got
I
my
think
notes.
Josh is doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm doing a great job as scenery.
Yeah, I have one up here. The only psychic powers you can generate while embarked on a transport are Witchfire, to include novas, to include beams, to include all that focus witch power or Witchfires. Those are the only ones you can generate, and they have to come from a fire point and have line of sight.
So you cannot teleport out of your vehicle anymore.
Yep. No, you may not.
Nor can you put out any bubbles of effects or anything like
no
that.
Blessings
No
while
blessings.
inside a vehicle.
Done.
That covers everything I had set aside.
Good job, Josh.
Yeah.
I think you did a great job.
Yeah.
You were the
buddy.
best
Thanks.
Tau Psyker knowledge I've ever
I'm
seen.
the best Tau and Sister Psyker you got.
Yeah, about that. Let's see here. I'm sitting at about. That's about 15 minutes right there.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. It's a live cast, whatever.
Screw you, Internet. We're staying around.
Let's see here. Shooting phase. You want to do anything shenanigans for shooting phase?
Shooting phase actually has a lot of differences from the old one. It's not just devil in the details. The basic mechanics have changed in the shooting phase. Will it operate the same? Yes. Will it take about the same amount of time? Yes. However,
It actually took about less time.
okay, I'll agree with that. You're the one that's played the game. I mean,
from
me
my
and him
experience,
just
it actually took less time because of the way it works. With actually resolving the shots from a specific weapon before moving on to the next ones, makes it go by a lot quicker from what I noticed. Because, like, hey, I got heavy bolters.
One specific weapon type and then another.
Yep.
basic phrase. The basic phasing goes as follows: you pick one of your units at a time, just like you always do. You pick an enemy unit, just like you always used to. This
And
is
you
where
pick
shit
a
gets
weapon
weird.
type.
The unit you're firing picks a weapon type. No.
Shut up.
Seriously?
Yeah, my bad. It was the alarm for
ruin
15
movies.
minutes.
Oh, it's alarm for 15 minutes. Look at that, guys. We're still going.
I'm still
All
going.
right. So, anyway, like I was saying, you pick a specific weapon by name in your squad. That's a weapon type, whatever you want to call it. But the reason why it's weapon type as opposed to weapon name is there are modes to fire on specific weapons. What I mean by this is, let's say I have a Stern Guard squad, right? And for some reason I have put some dumb thing in there that's not a combi weapon or a bolt gun. So that guy shoots. Let's say I want that guy to shoot first. I rolled a hit, I rolled a wound, and I resolve it before I go on to the next weapon. Then, let's say the rest of the Stern Guard squad has combi weapons. This is where different firing modes come in. I have to, at that point when I choose combi weapon for my weapon, named weapon, I have to choose what each combi weapon's firing, break them into individual groups, resolve them individually, and then I can keep going. The same thing if you got grenades and stuff, you got to allocate them all separate too. So watch your ass for those close range weapons. You might accidentally murder too many people. They will be out of range when they fire.
I had another thing I wanted to bring up. If, say, someone is inclined to put a character in front of you, and you have a big blob unit of a bunch of guys, and you have one special weapon that you're hoping that's going to take out that special character. What you can do is you can shoot your massive bolters or whatever, and they're going to do all their lookout serves. They're going to pluck out, and you're going to do that as your first big blob. That they're going to shunt all those off to their with their 2-up lookout serves, and hopefully you can kill every model that's within 6 inches of them, because you can only look out to something that's within 2 inches, and then you lay that melta shot on them.
That depends on what their tactics are, because I obviously Fugan, and if you got a good Terminator, which, by the way, they have psychic powers that allow Space Marines that get down to fucking 2+ invulnerable saves in the units now. Holy crap. I love that crap.
2+ for everyone now.
But you will still see characters hammering a front line in some cases who will eat shells for people. And you will see other characters who will have like little monkeys because it's not as accurate as it used to be. You have to make tough decisions with your weapons.
With a Ministorum Priest, you can have a re-rollable 2-up in a Space Marine unit.
Delicious.
Yep.
But for every 2+ you get, there's also a psychic power rule that modifies an invulnerable save or otherwise up by 1. So watch your ass, your 2+ Death Stars doing.
Since you use psychic abilities to get those anyways, the up or down, you can actually dispel them.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget, in the new edition, it specifically says everything stacks. Not everything, but everything that causes a modifier and ability.
Right. Normally it's a different named ability. On top of that... well,
don't forget you can have same with psychic power in the army, and if you cast it multiple times, it says in the book, stack.
Abilities like Adamantine Will only work against abilities that are being cast on you.
Yes.
So you only get your bonuses. We haven't gotten into that part.
Oh, okay.
As far as the book is saying, you only get the bonuses for being a psyker, being possessed of Adamantine Will, and what was the third one?
Psychic Hood and all that stuff.
No, there was another third one in there other than Adamantine Will. Anyways, you only get those bonuses for Dispel if the specific spell you're trying to dispel is targeting that unit. So, like, if they're doing a blessing, it's still a 6-up. But if they're doing a focus witchfire, there's where you get your bonuses.
This tells you how much fantasy we play. We keep calling them fucking spells.
Yeah.
On top of that, Psychic Hoods can do it within 12 inches.
There you go.
Awesome.
So Psychic Hoods are good.
Yep.
But it still requires the unit within 12 inches to have been targeted to begin with to actually take effect.
Be advised, until the errata comes out, Space Wolves are still your best anti-psyker in the game. They have a piece of war gear that flat negates any psychic power on the table on a 4+.
Except for Karn.
Except for Karn, who has a 2+ Deny the Witch as opposed to the 6+ Deny the Witch. So those things, before they get errated, are going to be really powerful, and there's a chance they may not be. I mean, Space Wolves always hated Psychers, so they may just let them have that stupid stick of doom. And as far as Karn goes, fuck yeah, that guy needs some help anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Some
he
of the,
needs armor save help, actually.
Yeah, he needs a lot of help.
Painful
Some of the
save.
Death Stars are
Psychological
gone
help.
too now.
Um,
The Oshova Star.
the Show
got
Stars
nerfed.
gone.
Mhm.
Monstrous creatures cannot be joined by independent characters at all anymore.
Oh, that's actually a good thing.
So no more taking Oshova, or not Oshova, Ovesa, and throwing him with another Riptide that has drones, and then throwing a support commander in there.
That guy was nothing but a chip anyway.
So-
However, don't forget the caveat for that works only on that guy. He's an infinite character, ladies and gentlemen. The only one in the game we found so far.
He can join other independent characters as far as I can tell, but because he'd be joining a monstrous creature, he himself cannot join a Riptide anymore.
I agree with that.
Wait.
Vehicles seem to be fundamentally unchanged.
They are a lot harder to destroy, actually.
Except for the
Slightly
vehicle
harder.
damage shit.
No,
table.
they are a lot
You
harder.
need a 7.
You need a 7, which means you need at least AP2 or higher to
I was
pop
already
it.
killing them with Melta anyways.
Well, that's just it, though.
It's
You
still
can't
not a
just.
guarantee with Melta, because if you roll like a 4, hey, you just got a 6.
Mhm.
It doesn't explode.
A lot
It
of
is
your
now
light armor
immobilized.
weapons got a
Actually,
little weaker.
what that makes a little bit better is when you frag grenade a vehicle from behind.
Really? Frag grenade?
Or
Yeah.
Crack.
crack.
I love those frag grenade vehicles.
I mean,
Man,
dude, I
I
said-
get all this
still
opportunity
not
to
bad.
hit.
It's like I'm punching them, but with less
I
opportunities.
can honestly say from the game I just played with Melta Spam, I noticed a big difference in how well Rhino survive.
Yeah.
That 2d6 armor pen, sure, I got it, but getting that 7 even with AP1 is a little hard sometimes.
Nah, you gotta wreck them to death.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that a lot of your hand-to-hand options against vehicles and a lot of your multi-shot options got better.
Yes.
Anything that can put multiple glances on a vehicle or multiple pens, that'll trash a vehicle any day of the week still.
But for you people who have vehicles, hey, mobile cover's still mobile cover, man.
Buildings have assault ramps just like they do in the bunker
assault,
whatever,
or
the stronghold.
assault, that one.
Well, don't forget also buildings also have hull points whether they're occupied or not.
Yes, they do.
Good times, especially for things like, what was it, Thunder Blitz,
Yeah.
where you can run through the building, wreck it, and everybody inside just kind of goes squee and dies. Maybe they take hits. It's not bad,
Yeah. They have rules in here for all the super heavies and gargantuans and the super heavy walkers. They're hilarious. D weapons did get toned down.
Just a little bit.
That's a deal.
A lot of the rumors for D weapons actually came to be true, so you only get the ignore all saves on a 6-up, which...
and you
it's
miss
not
on
that bad.
ones, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
but we missed on ones.
Yeah, but you miss. It used to be you miss on ones on some templates. Now you miss on ones on every type of D weapon.
Every single one. Even stomps.
Yes.
Somehow you miss on stomps. Let's see here. Let's cover USRs real quick.
Yeah.
There are some weird things we noticed with the USRs. One thing that we were happy to see was, we thought was funny, was Smash. All of your attacks become AP2.
Mm-hmm.
That I know monstrous creatures normally have that stuff, but I'm talking about like priests and stuff like that. All their normal attacks become AP2. If they choose to use Smash, they get one attack.
Oh, they always have the smash ability.
No. If they choose to use the
smash.
double, if they choose to do the double strength, they get one attack at double strength, and it's AP2 as well.
There you go.
That's a lot better way of saying that.
Yeah.
And they have to negate all the other attacks.
As far as I could tell, almost all the weapon rules stayed the same.
As far as I can tell.
There was clarification on rules that we'd already seen in erratas or rulings of tournaments.
Skyfire. Skyfire is a huge change. A lot of people think that if you have Skyfire and Interceptor, you could shoot at ground units and stuff. No.
That's not the point anymore.
On top of that, a model with a special rule or is firing a weapon with this special rule fires with its normal ballistic skill when shooting at flyers, flying monstrous creatures, and skimmers. Goodbye, Tom.
I don't want skimmers anymore.
Yeah.
Another special rule that changed: move through cover.
And it can only snap fire against other targets.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah, charging through cover with move through cover does ignore the penalty.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, one thing about cover, charging through cover real quick, don't forget, it's no longer 3d6, keep the lowest 2. It is 2d6 minus 2.
Yes. And mysterious objectives get really fun with that because they stack. Like, for instance, in the last game I played, I had the 6, which is the minus 2, I think it is, to your charge.
That's
and then charging through difficult terrain on top of that stacks, so it's minus 4. So if you had a 5-inch charge, no. You need a 9.
A lot
Damn.
cleaner, and in some ways better and worse.
Zealot is different. If a unit contains one or more models with a special rule, it automatically passes pending fear regroup. It doesn't say that they have fearless.
They used to be fearless.
It just says it a little different. It really works like fearless though.
It's fearless without the rules, so things that negate fearless.
And they got,
Right.
Do they
not
still have
negate
hatred?
Zealot.
Yes, they still have
just
hatred.
threw it under that. They instead of saying it gives fearless and it gives hatred, it just says it does this because you have Zealot.
Right.
So they just cleaned it up a little bit with the wording.
So they decided to sound like it was another rule instead of...
Essentially.
We did cover Vector Strike
did.
earlier.
Alright.
It's one hit on
Anything that's not a flyer.
right, and then D3 hits,
And it's still at the base strength unless you have another rule that
unmodified
specifies
strength, and
otherwise.
AP2.
Yeah.
So what do we got left?
Drakes.
My stupid Helldrakes, they poop nothing.
They actually
They're actually-
are...
They're actually worth
Are-
the points
they're-
instead
they're-
of being
They were
They're a
always
fair model.
undercost.
Cheating should be under points.
You're a terrible person, Dave. Then they added all the battlefield terrain. Every GW piece of terrain has fancy rules in there. They also put rules in there in case you're taking their fancy terrain pieces and putting them together as one big giant piece of it. All of them have different rules, like the Shrine of Aquila, the thing with the big bird on the front.
If you're this far through the podcast, yes, we're talking about terrain again.
Yes.
Yeah, you can reroll failed morale tests, and then if you're Imperium and if you're say Chaos and you're in there, you get hatred, which is fancy.
Well, let's talk about the one bad thing about terrain. Woody?
All right. Are we
Come on
talking
over here,
about
buddy.
deployment?
Yeah.
Come on over here. Get on the screen.
No, I
actually kind of like him off the screen.
Yeah, that's fine. He's
He's an arm, ladies and gentlemen.
disembodied hand.
All right, so the way you deploy terrain, as the rules state, agree with your opponent how you deploy terrain. That is the entirety of the rules.
I know in my store, my house rules are going to be when we play 40K. I'm going to apply an old one from Fantasy and say you each place a piece of terrain one at a time. Anything you want to do, you do. Because terrain's placed before even deployment zones are determined, which is nice. And I'm going to say once a person passes, the other person gets one more opportunity to place terrain. We call it a day. You guys want a clean table? Clean table. That's a house rule, ladies and gentlemen, not a book rule. Building an army.
Building an army.
So many interesting things
There's a lot.
so much dirt.
It still kind of racks my brain, but
I'd say building an army needs to be its own session.
I think we need to do that.
We'll
Because building an
have to
army
see
is
the next
horribly simple. All right, guys. This is us, Ed. He's King Master of the show. I've kind of stolen the show, so he's probably editing
It's
the
my
fuck
computer,
out of
it's
the
my
show.
show.
yeah, it's his computer.
It's his store, so he can kick us out when he
I
wants.
talk too much. You're gonna get used to this, I hope.
don't
This is Ed. He's running Drop Zone. Drop Zone Tucson is going to be on weekly.
We hope.
We're going to be filming every Friday, and it'll probably be posted the next week. So you're getting 1 week behind us all the time. Just give you time to edit and make me not sound as idiotic.
Edit. This is live cast.
Oh.
Never mind.
So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
casting
editing.
live weekly from now on. We'll be
All
more
you-
organized in the future.
All your swearing is totally in.
Oh, that's great.
That's-
We were a little off kilter tonight because, well, the edition just hit tonight, so
it's been a fun day.
By the way, sold out of these things, and we got a bunch extra, so we're gonna have to put fancy special orders in again.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, because the podcast is going to be here, anybody who's in the Tucson local area wants to join us, it is going to be $5 to join us from this point on.
Yep.
And when you come in, we are going to feed you. We are going to request that you try some new stuff out. That way we get more tests on the rules. The podcast will be 40K centric, and we're going to say a lot of stupid things, and we don't give a crap what people online think. So hopefully you like the information because you're getting it raw. This is Josh.
The resident Tau player. That's about it. That sums it all up.
He doesn't play good armies.
Yeah.
And
Texas.
obviously, I'm Dave, owner of Hats Games. If you're in Tucson area, please come check us out. We've got about 4,000 square feet of fun, especially for minis. I got supplies. I got a game room. I got really big dirty boots. So
And this is the small room.
Yeah,
the big
this is
room's
the
over
small
there.
room, and we've got one table right behind me, but we've got like 7 over there.
you'll also see people like V, who's off on that side of the screen. One day you may
There's the arm.
there's an arm. There's Woody, who is apparently
the other
an arm.
Yeah, it's our sweet toy with an arm.
And you'll see lots of other people here as well as we get them to play games. We're going to mercilessly put them on the internet, with or without the permission if they paid the $5.
Yeah.
With
or without paint, if they have paint on their models or not.
True.
Yeah.
You'll also see us eat ridiculous foods and possibly encounter another one of our local venue options, which is Burning Evidence, the local hookah thing we do. And you'll see us do ridiculous things outdoors as well as in.
Once we get lights for out there that aren't sulfur
As
lights.
soon as Bob goes down, we leave.
Yes. Evil K-Star.
Mm-hmm.
We live on the surface of the sun. It's like Tatooine.
Yeah, it's the thing.
Great. All right. So anything else? We spanned everything. We
Gave a
landed
pretty
everyone.
good overview and set the baseline for what's going to happen.
We talked for like 30 minutes.
If you have friends, force this show on them to give us a bigger viewer base, and we will probably bribe you to do so if you make it known beforehand.
Other than that, I guess we could say, leave questions, and we can try to answer them as best we can. Just do research.
I intend to add a chat thing. I know nobody's watching us today, but I intend to add a chat thing. If you got questions or want to talk about people, that's fine. Whatever. That'll be up on the side. It'll be a Google Hangout, and then I'll turn over to whatever. Details are unimportant.
If you got something for us to cover and we deem it necessary to bother to pay attention to, which is likely, I struggle to get bored.
We do get bored a lot, and it's only 2:36 in the morning, so we get.
It's still early.
It's early.
That is kind of early.
Yeah.
For us.
All right, Internet. I'm the hell out of here. I got to roll.
Yep. Don't get eliminated.
Did you see your special?